Hello and welcome to the CAGED Canary podcast. I'm your host, Mahdi Gilbert, here before magic. Today I wanted to talk about your price and knowing your price. This is one of the most common things that people do, and it's a mistake, and it's trying to fish out details from a client before giving them a price. And you probably have made this mistake. I know I've made it, and then it was explained to me why it was wrong, and from the day that I heard that, I completely changed it. And I want to talk about this and why it's important that we know our price. When you are a magician, you're out there in the world, you're meeting people, event organizers, producers, people who want to hire you to do magic. Oftentimes they will ask you, hey, I have this event coming up. I think you would be a great match. Could you come over and do some magic? Could you tell us how much that would cost? And then the magician's like, well, where is it? How many people are going to be there? How long do you want me to perform for? And they go through all this thing. What kind of budget do you have? Are you selling tickets? They're trying to get all this information, and it's totally irrelevant. And I will say the reason why they're trying to get all this information is because they don't have a price. When the client asks them, how much is it going to cost to get you over there? The magician has no idea. How can they answer that? This is a horrible mistake. This is a horrible business mistake. You have a service, you have a product, and that is you. That is your magic. You are coming somewhere to do magic, or you're a show, whatever. Whatever that is that you're doing, whether it's walk around magic, or you're doing a formal show, or combination of both, you should know how much that costs. There's a price. You're a professional. You've done it before. And that doesn't mean that you have to have your price listed. It doesn't need to be anywhere on the internet. You don't have to have it, with a breakdown for them before they even talk to you. But ideally, you have a price. You have a price, and you know that price. Anytime that you're talking to somebody, you should be going into that with a price. You shouldn't be making up a price when you are talking to a client. Never make up a price. People can sense, how much money how much money are you working for? What's your budget? You can't ask that stuff. You can ask that stuff if you have resistance later on. After you've said your price, if there's hesitancy or reluctancy, we can get into that in another podcast. You can go into all those details and then work on creating a solution with them. But when you first go into it, you have to have a price in mind. How much money does it cost to hire you? You need to know the answer to that. And maybe you know it, maybe you don't. I'm guessing that a lot of people listening to this, even professionals, don't know their price. And this is a crazy thing. It's crazy for me to say it, but I know, and let me tell you, I'm not a perfect guy. I had a situation recently. Somebody asked me if I could take part in a Zoom show. Okay? And they asked me, how much money do you want? Look, I don't do a lot of Zoom shows. We're in a weird situation right now around the world where we're not performing as much, and some people are doing it, some people aren't. I'm one of those guys who's not really doing it. I'm trying to see what's possible, experimenting, but I'm not going to give my full price to do a Zoom, thing where I'm not going to be able to deliver my best quality. They're not going to be able to experience my magic the way that I spent years designing it. So anyways, I was asked, how much money do you want? And I had no idea what to answer. And it was a very uncomfortable feeling because I went back to, I swear, I made the mistake that I'm telling everybody not to make. And I'm like, well, and I asked the person, the person in between me and the client, how much money, like what's their budget? How many people are? I ask all how many people are going to be watching the Zoom? How much money do they have to spend? Or like, look, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to have a price. You want to have a price. And I know we're in a new situation now in terms of performing and the digital events. Regardless, don't make the same mistake as me. Have a price. Sit down, think about it. You never know what you're going to be asked. I've been asked to do this. This was a new thing for me. I was caught off guard. Generally, though, you need to have a price. You need to have a price because when you are dealing with people, you want to know if you are in the price range. You want to know if they can buy what you're selling. You're selling a product. I mean, at the end of the day, you have a service, you have a product. You can call it whatever you want it to be, an experience, whatever. Life-changing experience. You can call it whatever you want, but it's for sale and there's a price. So it's really up to you to sit down, determine, and have that in mind before you get into it, really. Have that determined, have that totally set, so that when you are communicating with people, that you make sense. You don't want to be thinking about it at the last second. You don't want to be struggling with it. You want, when they ask you, okay, how much is this going to cost us? Obviously, there's going to be a few options. There's going to be different tiers. Maybe it's a different price if you're just doing a formal show and then you add some, walk around magic. Maybe you have a package, whatever it is. But you should have that broken down in terms of pricing so that you can present that to a client. If they're asking how much it costs, it's because they want to know, and you have to have an answer for them. I want to talk about this and clarify it because it's a common problem I see. It's a problem I've had, and I'm not gonna lie. When you get into this, nobody tells you exactly how to price things, so you don't know what you're doing when you're starting out. But going forward, you need to know how much it costs to hire you, and you know what? It's okay to have different pricing. There might be some events, maybe you're doing something for a friend. You're going to have a different price for a friend. Maybe you're doing something for a charity, you're doing it for free. Maybe there's a reason why in different venues or different circumstances you're charging a different price. But you can't just be calculating on the spot and then giving them, some sort of made up number. It's very unprofessional, and when you are in this business, especially if you're working in one market, you need to have pricing integrity. Your pricing needs to make sense as you have clients. Your clients are going to talk to one another. This is a very small world. Your clients are going to talk to one another. So let's say you work for client A for a price, and then you work for client B. You do the exact same thing, and it's a different price. If they talk, and they might talk, you don't want to have that problem of somebody saying, oh well, this person, I paid them this much, and this maybe it'll come back to you, maybe it won't. But you want to have some sort of pricing integrity, or you want to be very clear with your clients as to why the pricing is so different in different markets. So this is something you need to sit down and do it. Decide what markets you're performing for. Maybe you're performing for the school market, maybe you're performing for corporate, maybe you do private parties, et cetera, kids' birthday parties, really whatever you want. But really sit down and write out that price, how much it costs you to do an event. Whether that's a formal show, whether that's walk around, whatever it is that you do. Sit down, put that on paper, and have that, and live by it. And so when somebody asks you, you're not trying to sneak around and try to, maybe they have more money. Maybe I can get a little bit more money from them by, by fishing out details. Yeah, sure, you could do that. But Personally, I think it's better to be professional, have a price, give that to the client. The client can then sit down and decide, yes, we'll hire him. It's too expensive. Maybe we can't hire him. That's when maybe you can work something out, maintaining your integrity, but working something out. Maybe there's many ways to do that. We can talk about that in a later thing. Or the answer is no, and it's important to have clients that tell you no, prospective clients that tell you no, we can't afford that. It's okay. It's actually a good thing. The more that clients say we can't afford you, that's a good thing, because that means you're not what they're looking for. They're looking for something else, and maybe you can give them a recommendation. It's always a good idea to have people who you can refer, and maybe you have friends who work in a different price range than you, and it's always good to be able to pass that business along. Maybe they'll return the favor, maybe they won't, but as long as you can give somebody, somebody's coming to you because they assume you're a professional, assume you're an expert, be able to provide them with some sort of service, and maybe you can do the event, maybe you can't, but you need to figure that out. And it's important to know your price. Gosh, how many magicians, how many people do I know that don't have a price? It's wild. It's wild. And you're not always going to get your price. We can talk about that later in another episode. You're not always going to get your price, but it's important for you to say a price. Don't just say, what do you think? What do you think you can afford? What do you think is going to be a fair price? You can do that. You can do that. Different people have different styles. Different people are happy with different things, but you should know how much you cost. If you're a professional, you're doing this. Think about it. You're a professional, you're doing this. You should know your price. Your clients expect that of you. Let's say you were calling somebody to come fix your air conditioning or some other thing around your house, your car, whatever. You go to the car. You bring your car to get fixed. You say, well, how much is it going to cost to fix this thing on my car? And the guy says, well, I don't know. What make of the car is it? What year? How many years have you been driving it? They're asking all these details. It's like, well, hold on. You don't have a price for this service? Like, just tell me how much the service costs, how much the parts cost. And, later when we're doing the deal, we can look over all the numbers and we can either agree to do it or not agree, but you got to know the numbers. They're asking you. You got to know. You got to know, and you got to give them that information as soon as you can so that they can make an informed decision. And look, that's your responsibility as a professional. Know your price and come up with your price. If you don't have one, just take a piece of paper, sit down, write it out. You'll figure it out. It's not complicated. You'll figure it out, and you'll be better for it. You'll be happier for it. You'll have ease of mind. You'll never be put on the spot. You'll never be put on the spot because you'll know the answer. Do this, please do this. It's going to help you. Know your price. Ever since I started doing this, I had a lot more peace of mind. I know how much it costs to hire me. You want me to come do a talk? You want me to come do a lecture for magicians? You want me to come do a show? You want me to do walk around? You want me to do whatever it is you want me to do? You want me to come do a TV show? Whatever. I know how much it costs. I know how much it costs, and it feels good because I don't need to make it up on the spot. Be professional, know your price. If you don't have one, come up with one. That's part of the process of becoming a professional. I hope this helps you. I really do. If you guys liked it, please let me know. Comment, like, share, do all that stuff. And I will see you in the next podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.